الله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه وبركاته عليه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As we continue Kitaab At-Tawheed on this day of Sunday, March the 24th, 2019, a Gregorian calendar, which agrees with the Hijri calendar, the night of 18th or the 18th of Rajab, the 18th night of the month of Rajab, Naam 1440, the year 1440 after the migration of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. For this dars, if the brothers want, we'll start in Siyam next week, or this week rather, Wednesday. If we want to start Siyam, we could start it and do it 4 days out the week. Because the sisters, if I'm not mistaken, matter of fact, I'll speak to the sisters again. I didn't confirm it with the women yet, or with the sisters yet. But we wanted to do Kitaab al-Siyam, and we wanted to finish it, because it's only about 20 pages. It's like 20, 25 pages. It's not that long. 20, 25 pages at the most in Bulugh al-Maram. And I'll use, as usual, I use different commentaries. You got Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Ahmed Najmi. You have a lot of them. Sheikh Zayd ibn Hadi al-Madkhali. You have a lot of them. Rahimahumullah. So I usually use all the different types of commentaries and I combine it all at once. But for the sisters on Sunday next week, I was going to start all the masail that's connected, all the matters that's connected with the ishkalat, or the different, some of the reoccurring problems every year that some of the women always bring up regarding breastfeeding, their ments, in regards to their fasting and their ments and things of that nature. I was going to discuss that with the women, but I was going to try to connect everything all together. So technically it will be 4 lessons. So the more lessons, the faster we complete the chapter. So we have approximately, a month and 2 weeks until Ramadan, inshallah. Nasallahu yuballighana iyah. So the people who want to do that, we could start that next week. Or we could do Kitaab At-Tawheed once and do the rest of the classes Kitaab Al-Siyam. However the brothers want to do it. Just let me know. But for what I wanted to do is to start Kitaab Al-Siyam, because the sooner we start it, we had about 4 lessons in it per week, and we could finish it maybe in about 3 or 4 weeks, at the most 4 weeks, which is a month. So the brothers want to do that, then do that. And if they want to do Kitaab Al-Siyam, then the brothers, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Abdul Mateen ordered some books from Mansour in New York. If I think he spoke to him or what have you, I'm not sure. I think he did. He spoke to him to order some books of Kitaab Al-Siyam, Bulugh al-Maram, so the people can follow along in the lesson. Like I said, it's very important, brothers, that you bring your books to class. Very, very important. Like I said, these are not lectures. They are classes that your book stays with you and you can go home. You can benefit from it, teach your kids, your wife, what have you. But as far as a person that brings their book, try to bring your books with you as much as you can, as much as possible. Very, very important. So like I said, this might more than likely be the last lesson of Kitaab At-Tawheed for about 4 weeks. Then we'll return back to it and resume in it after we finish Kitaab Al-Siyam. So next week we'll do Kitaab Al-Siyam, Bulugh al-Maram. We'll start that. Alhamdulillah, I've been through that chapter with brothers probably about maybe 3 or 4 times now. We've been and finished the chapter. We finished it years before, then another year, finished it, then another year, finished it. Alhamdulillah, it's good for review. طيب. If you come, we return back and resume the lesson where it says, باب ما جاء في التغليظ في من عبد الله عند قبر رجل صالح. The chapter which comes in the severity of the one who worships Allah by the grave of one righteous. We stopped at which مسألة? الحادي عشرة. The 11th مسألة ذكره في خطبته قبل موته بخمس الرد على الطائفتين اللذين هما الشر أهل البدع. The mentioning of the Messenger of Allah, the Prophet ﷺ mentioning in his khutbah before his death by 5. And we said that the meaning of 5 is 5 days or 5 nights, 5 nights or 5 nights or 5 days. In that is a rebuttal against 2 deviant sects, who's the worst people of Ahl al-Bid'ah. So he knows that the great Imam is refuting Muslims who say La ilaha illallah. Especially the Jahmiyyah and the Mu'tazila. Don't they all say La ilaha illallah? So this incumbent upon the Muslims, as we know from actualizing the Furqan, is not just to refute kufr in its people. It's also to refute bid'ah in its people. That's also from actualizing the monotheism of Allah Ta'ala. Due to the fact of the severity of the deviant sects from the Muslims, as they can be the reason for one entering the hellfire in the hereafter, as because of some type of ambiguity in their belief system. That is the most evil of affairs, as the Messenger of Allah himself said. وَالشَّرَّ الْأُمُورِ مُحْدَثَاتُهَا. Most evil of affairs are the newly invented matters. So notice the great Imam, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, who is he refuting? He's refuting people who say La ilaha illallah, however they deviate it in its foundations, and they deviate it in its principles. طيب. So he's talking about the most evil, he said, of the deviant sects. For number one, he's talking about who? The Rafida. He's talking about Rawafid, or the Shia. He's talking about the Rawafid, and he's talking about the Jahmiyyah. Those are the 2 sects he's specifying here in this context. He's talking about the Rafida, and he's talking about the Jahmiyyah. In actuality, we'll discuss the history, as both of these sects were started by a Jew. The initial or the foundation of both these sects was started by the Yahud. That's what we'll talk about, by Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi. Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi started the Rafida, and likewise he started the Jahmiyyah. And it was also another Jew, not Abdullah ibn Saba, but it was another Jew. His name was Labid ibn al-A'sam al-Yahudi. So, the Jahmiyyah was started by Abdullah ibn Saba, who was a Jew. So a non-Muslim started the deviant sect. Started the deviant sect of the Shia and the Rawafid. And likewise, a non-Muslim was the founder of the deviant sect for the Jahmiyyah, likewise. طيب. So what we're discussing right now, that you'll find that the great Imam mentioned in this book discussing those 2 deviant sects. Right, everyone? Is there somebody on the other side? Or was that outside? Is the sister speaking? Yeah. Was it kids? Discussing? They're talking? Sisters, if you can, ask the sisters if they have a personal affair they have to discuss, if they could kindly discuss it maybe in their cars or outside or what have you, instead of discussing the affair inside of the masjid. We try to diminish as much as possible discussion of worldly affairs or things that might be something of a concern in our lives as much as possible, especially when times of lessons and the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being propagated in the masajid, that we try to take advantage of the different rewards that come along with these attending these lessons. It's easy to attain the reward of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. in these type of majalis who are considered from the majalis al-dhikr, due to the fact that we know that the malaika, verily Allah has malaika that are as-sayyahun yabhathun an majalis al-dhikr. Sayyahuna fil ard yabhathun an majalis al-dhikr. There are malaika and angels, they go about on the earth looking for the sittings of remembrance. And they seek forgiveness for the student of knowledge who's seeking knowledge. So one must take the initiative for the forgiveness of Allah. Then all he has to do is sit and listen attentively, especially if his intention is just to seek knowledge. As far as the affairs, what's going on in our personal lives or something of a concern, I'm asked the sisters kindly, and I asked them generously to discuss that affair outside the masjid, due to the fact that we heard some of the voices from the sister from this side. That's how the voices were that a little bit loud. طيب. So he said that you'll find that the great Imam that he mentioned about these two sects. Why did he mention about them? In order to instill in the people the desire to inquire about them, due to the fact that they are from the what? Most evilest of the deviant sects of the Muslims. They are the most wretched and evil, the Rawafid and the Jahmiyyah. So, when he mentioned this, that to one that inquire about them, due to the fact that we know that every Muslim, when he becomes or enters the fold of Islam, it's upon him to acquire knowledge about these particular matters, especially what's connected with the affairs of the deviant sects from the Muslims. It's incumbent upon a Muslim to acquire knowledge about that, due to the fact that you'll find a lot of Muslims who become Muslim, due to their lack of knowledge, they are more prone to be affected by them. You'll find that a lot of Muslims, especially in this country here, what's that, the wind or something? Due to the fact that you'll find that the majority of the Muslims in this country who enter the fold of Islam, that you'll find that they are prone to either be subjected to being affected by one of the deviant sects. How many Muslims do we know that they come to the fold of Islam and you find them ending up somewhere where they shouldn't be, from the Sufiya, or from the Ikhwaniyun, or from the deviant sects of the Muslim Brotherhood, or from the Sufis, or from the Asha'ira, because all of them are here in America, all of them. And when we have Shia here, we have Rawafid there too. You'll find that they go to those masajid thinking that they're all what? Muslimun. We're all Muslims. Not everyone. Not realizing that there are Muslims out there who have deviated in the fundamentals of the religion, due to the fact that the message of Allah has affirmed that, saying about the 73 sects of his ummah, and that they will all be in hell except one. Which is to let you know that there are people out there that say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and they are upon something that's what? There's something that's in total opposition to what the Messenger of Allah was upon, which as a result of it can land one in the hellfire. If he's still in the realm or the fold of Islam, then he will be purified in the hellfire based upon or according to his opposition or his discrepancy that he fell into, that opposes the aqeedah in which the Messenger of Allah and the companions were upon. If they're in the fold of Islam. If they're in the fold of Islam, then they'll be purified in the hellfire momentarily. Then they will be brought out. But to let you know that bid'ah and fisk, especially fisk also, is not just disobedience. Fisk is also in i'tiqad. Fisk or disobedience is also in the belief system, and that's the worst type. You have fisk in i'tiqad, and then you have fisk fil amal. You have amal, you have fisk in the belief system, and fisk in the actions, which is sin. The fisk in the belief system is the worst type. And those who deviated in the methodology and the creed of Ahl Sunnah, if they die in that state and they have not worked diligently to purify themselves from the type of discrepancies in their belief system, then they are prone to also likewise be punished in the hereafter. So bid'ah is not just something simple. The Messenger of Allah condemned it highly, where he said, شَرَّ الْأُمُورِ مُحْتَثَاتُهَا. The most evil of affairs is newly invented matters, or the newly invented ones. And you'll find there are books about creed and i'tiqad, and I'm sure that everyone is familiar with the books that highly emphasize the importance of clinging to what the Prophet ﷺ was upon and his companions, especially in the belief system, as that is the most important. In the belief system, like we said, what branches off what the belief system will bring about, will bring about righteous actions, which are the actions which are correct. But you notice of those who do not learn the correct creed, if you go to their masajid, they commit acts that are extremely weird. From them, for example, I'm sure that everyone's complained about, they go to masajid and they're praying 2 Jumu'ahs. They're praying 2 Jumu'ahs. Or you'll find that the people are, for example, or the athar, or the effect of the sunnah is not upon the people. You don't see it. You see more of the people are inclined towards the dunya. Dunya affairs are rectify their worldly affairs, which is part of our religion, no doubt. But at the same time, we still have the i'tiqad that the dunya is just a wasila, laysat ghaya. The dunya is a wasila, wa laysat ghaya. The dunya is a method. It's not the ultimate goal. How is something the ultimate goal and you're not even promised it's the next day of it? How can you make something your goal and you're not even promised the next moment or the next hour or the next 10 minutes? It's not promised. Or the next day. How many people wake up and die all of a sudden and they thought today wasn't going to be my day of death, but they died anyway? And we know death has no discrepancy. It has no prejudice for anyone. For anyone. Death has no prejudice for any animal, any child, any baby, anyone. Doesn't. So for that reason, you'll find that a lot of those who indulge in these matters, especially in those masajid, even though we hear affairs about the hereafter, but you'll find that their call is more towards rectification of their dunya. Because in their minds, they think that's the what? Even though they don't say it verbally, but you'll find that their goal is this world. Whereas Ahlul Sunnah wa Ahlul Haq, we believe that the dunya is just a what? It's just a mere method. It's a wasila to attaining the what? The ultimate goal, which is what? Which is the hereafter, which is the akhirah. No doubt we work diligently to rectify our worldly affairs. Nobody's denying that. But we do not make it our ghaya, our goal. That's not the goal of this world. Like we said, how can you make something that is not promised your goal? Doesn't make any sense. Even in the aspect of the aqd, you'll find that Ibn al-Qayyim even mentioned this. How can you make something that's not promised your goal? And ultimately it's going to go away. How are you going to make that your goal? Anybody that has a sound intellect knows that doesn't make any sense. Something that's not promised to you and something inevitably is going to go away from you anyway. At a certain time and at a certain age, it eventually, inevitably, is going to what? Go. So why are you going to make something like that your goal? Why? Also on top of that, why you want to make something your goal that certain days has happiness, which is also accompanied with sadness? يَوْمٌ لَنَا وَيَوْمٌ عَلَيْنَا وَيَوْمَ نُسَاءُ وَيَوْمَ نُسَرُّ, as it says in the poetry. So يَوْمٌ لَنَا وَيَوْمٌ عَلَيْنَا وَيَوْمَ نُسَاءُ وَيَوْمٌ نُسَرُّ. One day is for us, another day is against us, and one day we feel sadness, don't say depression, we feel grief, and then another day we're happy. So how are we going to what? Make this world that's like that, to show you the lowliness of this world, and that's the state of it, because everyone in this room can what? Affirm this reality. Does anyone can deny it? To say this one day you're feeling good, you're feeling upbeat, and another day you're feeling a little sluggish, and then one day you're good, feeling good in your health, then another day you're sick, and then one day you might feel very happy, and then some days you're sad, and you make this your ghaya, this lowly condition, this state that's a test for all of us. You make this your ultimate goal. This is the goal. So that's what we're saying. The dunya is the what? Wasila. But the point we're trying to mention is, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, that the people bid'ah, that you'll find that they what? That they make this world the ghaya, even though they don't verbalize it, but not realizing that a lot of their beliefs and a lot of their inclinations and their methods is trying to focus on what? Dunya. 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 Everything's about the dunya. So that's what we're saying in regards to the person who has a creed. There's a lot of discrepancies in it. You'll find that they make a lot of strange statements, and you'll find that they do a lot of strange actions, which to let you know that their creed and their belief system has not been what? Has not been rectified. So that's the reason why we say, ya ma'ashal ikhwa, in regards especially to now the history of acquiring knowledge about the deviant sects in Islam, that is very important. Not in full details as Ahl Ilm study it, but at least having enough knowledge to guard and protect yourself, and to guard and protect the Muslims, and your family, and your children, so they do not deviate along with those who have deviated. And they do not what? Regress in their religion from those who have regressed. طيب. So you'll find that the great Imam that he mentioned about these two sects, he mentioned them in his book, Kitaab At-Tawheed. So notice that he took the opportunity and initiative to what? To refute two deviant sects from the Muslims, who are the most evil of them. The Rafidah, as we know, they were called that because, why would they call the Rawafid? Rafidah, as we know, Rafid in the Arabic language means to reject or to refuse. Or to refuse, like Rafad to a da'wah. Like da'ani, walakin Rafad al-hudur. That means like to reject, to turn down, to not accept. That's the word Rafid. That's what it means. Rafid means to reject, to turn down, to not accept, to reject something. Why are they called the Rawafid? They was called the Rawafid due to the family of Ali. What's crazy is that the Rawafid describe themselves to glorifying Ali, but in actuality they don't. It's weird. They were weird people. But at any rate, if you look to their history, they were responsible for killing Hussein. If you look to the history was pathetic. They were the ones who were responsible for killing the son of Ali. So how you glorify Ali, but you was responsible for killing his son? In the most humiliating manner. And وَعَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا يَسْتَحِقُونَ. What they did to him was chopping his head off. And what they did to his head. Which happened in Iraq. What happened in Iraq. Where they had the Emir. At any rate, let me get sidetracked with that. But at any rate, Zayd ibn Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. Just keep Zayd. Zayd asked, the Rawafid came to Zayd. And he was the great grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib. The great son. Hold on, that's the great grandson. Hold on, Zayd ibn Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali. Great grandson of Ali ibn Abi Talib. At any rate, Zayd, the Rawafid came to him. And they asked him, what is the state of Abu Bakr and Umar? He said, what is the state of Abu Bakr and Umar? What do you deem them to be? What do you believe them to be? He says, Huma wazira jaddi. Huma wazira jaddi. They're the ministers of my grandfather. He's talking about the Prophet because we know the lineage of them still goes back to the message of Allah. طيب. So he's praising them, saying that they're what? They're the ministers, meaning that they're his inheritors. They are the khulafa after him. He was praising them. So then they rejected the da'wah. They rejected this what? Claim. They said this, because you making a statement, we reject your claim and we're going to abandon you. So until he became a what? A derelict. They abandoned him, basically. So they not only rejected the da'wah, but they what? They abandoned him. So that was why the Rawafid were called the Rafidah. That's why the Rawafid were called the Rafidah. That's why the Rawafid were called the Rafidah. Due to them rejecting the claim of Zayd ibn Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. So why are they called the Rawafid? They're called the Rawafid because they rejected the claim of Zayd ibn Ali ibn Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. Of him praising Abu Bakr and Umar. And as we know, the Rawafid, what everyone? The Rawafid think, or they say that Abu Bakr and Umar are the two idol statues of the hellfire. صلى الله يعافينا وإياكم من ذلك وقبحهم وعليهم من الله ما يستحقون. طيب. So, this group of the Rawafid were initially started by a Jew. It initially was started by a Yahudi. His name was Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi, al-Yamani. I think also that Abdullah ibn Saba, he came from Yemen, if I'm not mistaken. But Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi, as we know, started fitna and aroused fitna amongst the Muslims. and the two deviant sects who are still the fitna of the Muslims to this day, he had a great portion of spreading their call. The fitna of today, which are the Khawarij and the Rawafid. Both. Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi conspired along with other people in Ura to have Ali killed from the Khawarij and Uthman. For Abdullah ibn Saba gathered his co-conspirators, they conspired, they aroused the people, and he also lied, causing dissension, until the people started having bad thoughts about Ali. As a result of it, that we know that Ali was killed unjustly. Likewise, Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anil jami'. You'll find that Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi, if you look to the story was very wicked and evil. For any rate, Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi also he started fitna amongst the Muslims in regards to now trying to distort the correct understanding of Islam likewise. So he went to another people. So not only did he arouse or start the fitna of the Khawarij with a certain group of the people, such as Abdurrahman ibn Muljim and his constituents and his co-conspirators. But at any rate, there was another group. There was another group that Abdullah ibn Saba affected, where he instilled in their mind the i'tiqad that Ali was a deity. That Ali was a deity. So they deitized him. You're going to do research in the middle of the lesson? That you'll find that he went to a people and affected them to the point where they raised Ali to the level of a deity of worship. So Abdullah ibn Saba, these people that deitized Ali, or consider who? The Shia. These were the group that was started and originated, and the founder was Abdullah ibn Saba. Abdullah ibn Saba was the Jew. His intent was the same intent of Paul, the same one who altered the message of Jesus, the son of Mary. The same exact thing that happened with the Christians, the same satanic trick tried to happen with the Muslims. However, keep with me. Stay with me. And what would you do if I got you to do some push-ups and pull-ups on the pull-up bar and stuff like that? You wake right up, right? There you go. No, just joking. طيب. What was I saying? Now, Paul, whose name was Bulus. Paul, like we know, was likewise who, everyone? Paul was a what? He was a Jew. He was a Jew. It's known. It's established in history. Paul was a Jew. He came and he became Muslim, believing in Jesus. Because we know all the Jesus was not Christian. They were all Muslimun. That's known. All the prophets and all the messengers were all Muslimun. All of them were submitting to Allah and unification of his worship. Anyway, so Paul likewise conspired against Christianity out of hypocrisy. Out of hypocrisy, he wanted to alter the religion of Jesus, the son of Mary. He did it. As we know, Paul did it. He altered it, changed it. Majority of the Christians of this world today are upon the religion or the understanding and the alterations and the distortions of Paul, not the pure teachings of Jesus, the son of Mary. The pure teachings of Jesus, the son of Mary, was in the scriptures of James, not in the scriptures of Paul. Paul made his message towards what? Catering towards paganism. That's why you'll find that a lot of there. If you look to the pagans of what he tried to make Christianity appealing towards, he changed it, as we know. As the pagans, of course, you know, they believe that man can be in the form, or the gods can be somewhat, have some type of divinity, of where they broke off to be half human, half God, and to also have some divinity where there's third of a three that's broken up into different parts, or that the actual God has a son here walking around on the earth. That was the ideologies of the pagans, of the Romans at that time. That was their ideology. So Paul looked to see, that's their belief. All right, let me make Christianity somewhat like that. So he switched it. So he now came with what? The message of that Jesus was the part of God, or Jesus was a part that was broke off, or there was a third of three, or there was some divinity or some divine type of mysterious power where one was broke off from the other. So now, like we said, the message with Paul, he distorted the pure teachings of the Jesus, son of Mary. That's the reason why you'll find that a lot of the Christians are confused today because they try to fuse the pure teachings of Jesus, which is James, along with the teachings of Paul together. And that's where the contradictions end up. You'll find that a lot of the Muslims or the Christians become confused because they're trying to fuse the two scriptures together. They can't, because one contradicts the other. That's why it's too many contradictions when they look in the different verses. One says this and the other says this. They put the two together, it's like two different messages. One says that Jesus was just a human being, that he prayed, and that he was submissive to his Lord to the end of it. This one says he was what? He's a part of God. This is his son, that you will never, and that sins cannot be forgiven except through the son to the end of it, which was the teachings of Paul. طيب. So Paul now did this. He distorted Christianity, and the majority of the Christians, that's what I talked about in the lessons before. The most influential personality that walked on the earth, you'll find that the kuffar say, was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They say it was the messenger of Allah. He's the number one most influential personality of that ever walked the face of the earth. Then they say number two is who? Jesus? No. They say number two is Paul. Then Jesus. Their own scholars say that due to the fact that they have knowledge. They said that the most influential person on the Jew Christians in the world is what? Paul. Because the majority of the Christians follow the message of Paul, not the pure teachings of Jesus the Son of Mary, which is the paganistic ideologies that he came with in order to what? Take them away from the pure teachings of Jesus, which was monotheism and Tawheed. As Jesus came with the message of Tawheed, all the prophets and messengers came with Tawheed. طيب. So now Abdullah ibn Saba did the exact same thing. Abdullah ibn Saba plotted to destroy the pure teachings. Notice the pure teachings, what we mean by that, it's not just the if you want to say, the orthodox understanding. When we say pure teachings, he wanted to destroy the i'tiqad. He wanted to destroy the belief system similar to what Paul did. Paul did not come to destroy, when we say pure teachings of Jesus, and that's it. He came to dismantle and destroy the belief system. That's what he did. He came at the aspect of i'tiqad, of the belief. That's what Paul did. Paul came at the belief system, changed it, altered it. Same thing, Abdullah ibn Saba knew that the strength of the Muslims, their strength relied in their belief system and the purity of it. Just as Paul did with the Christians, where even though we shouldn't call them Christians, they were Muslimun, and they were also people of Tawheed. But at any rate, just as Paul knew that the source of strength, of the might in the Muslims relied in their belief system, that's why he focused on that more than anything else. It's the same thing with Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi, exact same thing he did. He knew that the strength of the Muslims relied in their belief system and it being unified upon one. He knew that. That's why he worked so diligently to corrupt it. That's why he started with the groups of the Khawarij, of course. Then he also started with the opposite of the fact, which was who? The Shia and the Rawafid. He was the founder of the Rawafid, in which they deitized Ali and raised him above his level until they made him a deity worship. Until Ali ibn Abi Talib came and he denied this matter, as we know, and rejected it. Rather, he found it very ugly, very disgusting, this belief. To say I'm a deity of worship? A'udhu billah. And as we know, Ali ibn Abi Talib gave them a chance to repent until they were put all to death by them burning them, as it says in the poetry. Even though some of the Sahaba said that the act wasn't correct as far as burning, but the point of the matter is that Ali ibn Abi Talib found that act that they committed was very disgusting and horrific. And to say that I'm a deity of worship, something that he totally denied and rejected. But the point of the matter is that Abdullah ibn Saba was a Jew, and he started it, the whole deviant sect of the Shia. You'll find that the Shia, especially in the last days of what will happen, in the last days and times, who will be found in the Dajjal and where will he emanate from? Except from the area that you'll find where the Shia is and where the Yahud will be in that particular area. That the Dajjal or the Antichrist will emanate from that same area. He will come out from that area in that direction. Khurasan in that direction. But you'll find that a lot of those who are the followers of the Dajjal will be the Khawarij, the Yahud, will be a majority of followers of the Dajjal. There will be the Khawarij, the people of Al-Bid'ah. will be the followers of the Dajjal. Of the Khawarij, the Jews, of course, women of Medina will be affected, and those from Ahl Bid'ah, from the Shia, they will also be what? They will be inclined towards following and be from the followers of the Dajjal. From their followers. طيب. No. Who's the area? I can't remember the name of it right now. But it's in Iran. But at any rate, the followers, the one who founded the Rawafid was a Jew, and likewise the Jahmiyyah. Likewise the Jahmiyyah, as we'll discuss in a couple of minutes. طيب. When they had started this evil sect, as we know, they are the most evilest of the sects. Why? Because they legalize and they justify hypocrisy. As we know, from so many different aspects. From them is them criticizing the companions. From them is criticizing the companions of the Messenger of Allah. As we know, criticizing the companions of the Messenger of Allah is nifaq. حب الصحابة إيمان وبغضهم نفاق. كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المخرج في صحيح البخاري حب علامة الإيمان حب الأنصار وعلامة النفاق بغض الأنصار يعني بغض الصحابة. That you'll find that the hadith which is in the Bukhari where the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said that the sign of Iman is the love for the Ansar, meaning the love of the Sahaba. That's what it means. The love of the Sahaba, the companions who are from the Ansar who is in Al-Medina. But the meaning generally means the what? The companions of the Messenger of Allah. And the sign of hypocrisy is what? Is the hatred of them. So we know that the whole religion of the practice of the Shia is declaring the companions to be what? To be hypocrites and those who left the fold of Islam and those who also what? Apostated after the message of Allah. So how can you not think that this type of belief is one of those type of belief systems that plants hypocrisy in the hearts of the people? Which it does. So that's one of the reasons why it's considered for the most akhbath al-adyan. So in reality, their sign in reality is hypocrisy. Their hypocrisy, they changed the name of it. You know what they call it? They call it at-taqiyya. They call it at-tuqiyya. They call it taqiyya. وفي الحقيقة هو النفاق. You'll find that the Rawafid or the Shia, they call it at-taqiyya. At-taqiyya. They call it at-taqiyya. In reality, it's called hypocrisy. Nifaq. That's the reason why you'll find that the group of the Rawafid, they are the most dangerous upon the people of Islam. They're the most dangerous. They profess Islam openly, but however, and what actually they're calling to is something that's totally different, and they call it to hatred and also what? Hypocrisy. And also devouring and tearing down the clear message of what the message of Allah came with. Because that's their whole what? Goal, is to dismantle it, destroy it. The same thing, or the same reason why Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi came to destroy the pure teachers and the i'tiqad of the Salaf. They still do the exact same thing to this day. The exact same thing to this day. What is their aqidah? The aqidah of the Rawafid, they used to be mushabbiha. The aqidah of the Rawafid in the times of old, they used to be a deviant sect, which is called the mushabbiha. The resemblers of those who resemble the creation with Allah. Resemble Allah with the creation. So, the Rawafid used to be mushabbiha. There was a man and his name was Hisham ibn al-Hakam. You never wrote this down. His name was Hisham ibn al-Hakam. Hisham ibn al-Hakam. He was a Rafidi. He had the i'tiqad of the mushabbiha. He had the belief system of the resemblers, of those who resemble Allah with the creation. Then after that, after a moment of time, the Rawafid, their i'tiqad changed. They changed to another what? Another evil i'tiqad, which is the aqeedah of the Mu'tazila. The aqeedah of the Mu'tazila. Which is, I'm sorry, Tafadal, you got to call it. Tafadal, you got to call it there. It flies very fast. شبه نعم المشبهة نعم from the طوائف. الله أكبر الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر. اللهم ربنا هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمد. Also, don't forget, brothers and sisters, about the hadith, which has also been mukharrajun fi sahih, where the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said that the horns of shaitan rises over towards, he said, the west. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ pointed towards the direction of what we know today as Iran and Iraq, in those areas. Why? Why did he point towards that direction? He says, No. All the deviants, you know the reason why? You'll find all the deviant sects started from that direction. All the direction of Ta'til, with Tashbih, with Jahmiyyah, with Mu'tazila, with Shia, with Rawafid, with Khawarij. All the evil deviant sects came from that direction. All of them came towards that direction. The bid'ah of the Qadariyah, of Ma'bad al-Juhani, and also Ghinan al-Dimishqi, also Ata, Wasil ibn Ata, wa Amr ibn Ubaid, who's the heads of the Mu'tazila. Amr ibn Ubaid, Wasil ibn Ata, Ma'bad al-Juhani, wa Ghinan al-Dimishqi. All these deviant sects who started the fitna of the Qadariyah, the fitna of the Khawarij, all of them emanated from that direction. That direction, which is today currently known as Iran, and beyond that, as far as in the area of now, which is Khurasan and the other areas. But at any rate, towards that direction which the Messenger of Allah pointed, he said that the horns of shaitan will come up from that direction. Meaning, if you go back to the Sharh, he said that every deviant sect appeared coming and starting from that direction, in that vicinity, in that area. All that was considered the fitna of Islam of today. The Jahmiyyah, the Qadariyah, you name it. They all came from that direction. طيب. So as we talked about that what the Rawafid have established, you'll find that openly they try to profess to what is correct. You'll find that that's what the Rawafid do. However, what they believe contradicts what they profess openly, what they verbalize openly, what they broadcast. You'll find that the belief of the Rawafid is something that's pure kufr, whereas we know that the Rawafid believe that they're a'imma, that they say are ma'soom. All of them yudirun al-kawn, that they administrate the affairs and they what? They control this existence. They're a'imma, or what they call the Ithna Ashariyah, with their 12 imams who they say are infallible, that they the ones that truly what? Conduct in this existence, besides Allah, which is shirk and rububiyyah, which is something that the Kuffar Quraysh never fell into. They believe this, and they can declare that their a'imma, or their so-called a'imma, are aliha, they're deities, that they administrate the affairs of this existence, and they run them, which is a type of shirk in that not only uluhiyyah, but in rububiyyah, they raise the bar. So that's the reason why we said that also everyone. Also they say that they're so-called a'imma, or ithna ashariyah, that they're better than the prophets and the messengers and the malaika, and they're all of them, and they're better than the awliya, they're better than all of them, they're on a higher level. And all of them are what? Ma'sumun. That they're all what? Protected from fallibility. That they're in the level in which no angel can attain and no prophet can attain. You'll find that they say that this is the correct Islam, and we know that what? That Islam and what they're calling to is not accepted, it's rejected. As we know, كُلٌّ يَدَّعِي وَصًا بِلَيْلَ وَلَيْلَ لَا تُقِرُّ لَهُمْ بِذَاكَ. Everybody claims that they're connected with Layla does not affirm for them that. So a person makes a claim, but however in reality, they claim if you put it on the scale of what was correct, they are the most furthest or from the furthest away of what? From Islam. That's what we say in this regard. Shaykh al-Islam made a tremendous statement. This is what he said about the Rawafid. He says, إِنَّهُمْ أَشَدَّ النَّاسِ ضَرَرًا عَلَى الْإِسْلَامِ وَإِنَّهُمْ هَجُرُوا الْمَسَاجِدِ وَعَمَّرُوا الْمَشَاهِدِ فهم يقولون لا نصلي جماعة إلا خلف إمام معصوم ولا معصوم الآن أين ظهر ما ظهر وهم أول من بنى المشاهد على القبور كما قال الشيخ هنا ورموا أفضل أتباع الرسول ورموا أفضل أتباع الرسول على الإطلاق وهما أبو بكر وعمر بالنفاق وأنهما مات على ذلك كعبد الله ابن أبي أبي بن سلول رأس المنافقين وأشباهه والعياذ بالله. To the end of it. So he says that they are the most severest of harm against Islam. He says they left off the masajid and they glorified the graves. They left off the masajid and they glorified the mashahid. What does he mean by mashahid? The qubur. The graves. He said left off the masajid, glorified the mashahid. Glorified the graves. And the people is dead. Weirdos. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? Very strange people. And they say to this day, we will not what? Pray in congregation except behind the infallible imam. And you'll find that they even give bay'ah to someone who's not known. You'll find that they give the bay'ah, so-called bay'ah, to someone who's not known. يبايعون شخص مجهول. يطلقون عليه بأنه صاحب السرداب. وأين هذا الصاحب صاحب السرداب أين هو كيف تبايعون من هو مجهول. They call him the صاحب السرداب. صاحب السرداب, the person who's in the cave, he hasn't come out yet. That's another one of their beliefs. He's in the sirdab. طيب, they say we give bay'ah to him, and that's what we're waiting for. Waiting for the صاحب السرداب to appear. طيب, we know from the shurut of bay'ah, from the shurut of giving pledge and allegiance to someone, is that you have to know who he is. Cannot be not known. You can't know where he is or when he's going to come. And you gave bay'ah to someone who's not known. فمن شروط صحة البيع أن تبايع من هو معروف من هو أمامك ظاهر موجود. In order for what? The pledge and allegiance to be correct and sound and acceptable, you have to give pledge and allegiance to one who's known. One that's appeared, no one that's present. You know who he is. They still to this day don't know who he is. When he will come out, where he is, when he will come out, when he will manifest, and they give bay'ah to him. And they call him Sahib al-Sirdab. The Sirdab is the one who's in the cave. And they give bay'ah to him to a whole bunch of affairs that's extremely weird with the Rawafid. Very, very weird individuals. We know to this day they still practice Nikah al-Mut'a. To this day they still practice it. To this day they still practice temporary marriages in the contract, where you can make a stipulation that I want to marry up to this time, and the woman agrees on it and puts it in the contract that I agree to marry you up to this time. After that, it's done. Yes. To a whole an abundance of affairs that's extremely weird to go down the list. But one of the most weirdest of affairs is that they say we will not pray except behind the infallible imam. And so to this day, he's not been what? He's not manifested, nor is he infallible either. Rather, he is subject to every human being is subjected to fallibility. They are the first ones that Shaykh al-Islam says that built upon the graves. Bana al-qubur al-masajid. They built the graves on top of the masajid. They're the first ones who started this evil sunnah. Especially what he mentioned in his book called Kitaab al-Minhaj. Minhaj al-Sunnah. But the great Imam Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, when he authored the book, all of it is a rebuttal against the Rawafid. and against the Shia from beginning to end. So they're the first one that built mashahid upon the graves. And they also criticized the most virtuous followers of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who's Abu Bakr and Umar. And not only that, they also curse their daughters. Yes, they call it Du'a al-Sanamain. The Du'a al-Sanamain of cursing Abu Bakr, wa Umar, wa Aisha, wa Hafsa. Cursing all of them. It said that the majority of the companions of the Messenger of Allah apostated, except maybe a few. All of that is what we know is built upon hypocrisy. That's the reason why you'll find that the majority of the Muslims, especially those who have the correct belief, flee away from them when they see him, due to the fact that the effect on the filthiness of their belief system. And still to this day, the effect of Abdullah ibn Saba al-Yahudi qabbahu Allah, you'll still feel it's affected a lot of people. And I would hate to be him on the day of resurrection, because he affected a lot of millions of people. Millions of people. And I would hate to be Paul also, because he's affected billions of Christians who have been affected by his evil message. And everyone. And you know, like we said, they were ones who were what? Started by the Yahud. What about the Jahm ibn Safwan, who's the founder and the sect of the first sect that denied that Allah is above the heavens? Well, technically, it started with Ja'd ibn Dirham. Ja'd ibn Dirham was before Jahm ibn Safwan. Ja'd ibn Dirham was the first one who started the deviant sect of the Jahmiyyah. Then Jahm ibn Safwan, a person would say, well, what's Jahm ibn Safwan? Jahm ibn Safwan made it famous. He gathered a bunch of followers. But Ja'd ibn Dirham was the first one who started it. If you go beyond that, the chain of the Jahmiyyah, of the belief that Allah is not above, also goes back to also non-Muslims. Also, you'll find before that, the chain of the Jahmiyyah is this: Jahm ibn Safwan. Secondly, after that, Ja'd ibn Dirham comes before Safwan, Jahm ibn Safwan. Then before Ja'd ibn Dirham, Ja'd ibn Dirham was Aban ibn Sam'an. Aban ibn Sam'an. Aban ibn Sam'an took the same methodology from another person whose name was Talut. His name was Talut. And Talut took his belief from Labid ibn al-A'sam. Labid ibn al-A'sam, who was a Jew, and he did magic upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sahara al-Nabiy sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Labid ibn al-A'sam. The isnad of the Jahmiyyah, number one is Ja'd ibn Dirham. As we know, started with Jahm ibn Safwan. Jahm ibn Safwan is the founder of the Jahmiyyah. That was the first sect that denied that Allah is above the heavens. And a whole lot of other things too. They were the first ones that come with the ideology that Allah is not above. Then, before that, he took that knowledge from Ja'd ibn Dirham. Ja'd ibn Dirham took it from Aban ibn Sam'an. Aban ibn Sam'an took it from Talut. Talut took the ideology from Labid ibn al-A'sam. Labid ibn al-A'sam, the one who did magic upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you'll find that the isnad of this deviant sect is black, very black. It initially goes back to an individual who was a non-Muslim who did magic upon the Prophet ﷺ. So all the deviants in the sects of Islam, still to this day, the plot of the non-Muslims have not stopped, and they have not ceased to corrupt the strength that they know that the Muslims have that one day that they will return to their might if they wake up, which is to be unified in their i'tiqad upon one aqidah, one methodology. Not unifying them upon different methodologies and different aqa'id, or different beliefs. That's incorrect. As we know, يا معاشر الإخوة, الاجتماع ينقسم إلى قسمين. اجتماع شرعي واجتماع بدعي. You'll have two types of unification in Islam. You have ijtima', unification that is legislated, and you have ijtima', or you have unification that is innovated. You have two. You have unification that is legislated, and you have legislation that is innovated. I'm sorry, it's unification that is innovated. You have two types of unifications. What is the unification that is legislated? The unification of being unified upon one belief system. That's what's legislated. Why? Because the Messenger of Allah and his companions were all unified upon one creed. There wasn't numerous different convictions and beliefs at all. So the ulfa الشرعية or الألفة التي تحققت في عهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كانت نتيجة عن عقيدة واحدة. الألفة التي تغلغلت وترسخت في قلوبهم كانت نتيجة عن عقيدة واحدة، لا عدة عقائد مختلفة متنوعة كما يدعي بذلك المبطلون اليوم. Like we just said, you'll find that if you look to the time of the Message of Allah, that the true love of them being unified all became or carried out as a result of them being unified upon one creed. Not numerous various different types of creeds. La. So the true love is when one actualizes it through one belief system. طيب. Now the ijtima' or the unification that is bid'i, that is an innovated unification, is gathering all the Muslims upon one or upon different belief systems. That's an ijtima' bid'i. That's a unification that is innovated. And that what will come as a result of it is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we know, said about the Yahud, because all the enemies of Islam, all of them gathered together to destroy the Muslims during the time of the Message of Allah. What did he say about them? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, بَأْسُهُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ شَدِيدٌ تَحْسَبُهُمْ جَمِيعًا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ شَتَّى ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. He says, you see them, meaning you see the unification of the non-Muslims coming together. And you find that they're stern. You see that they seem like they're just all together. Now listen to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them. You think that they're together, but their hearts are divided. That is because there are people that don't understand. There are people that don't understand. And that same ayah applies on a lot of the Muslims these days, where you'll find that they want to unify everyone upon different belief systems and say that this is ijtima'. We have actualized it. You have not actualized ijtima'. You've حققت الاجتماع في الظاهر ولكن في الباطن ما زال الناس يتناحرون ويلعن بعضهم بعضا. So you'll find, like we said, in regards to what? They actualize what they call unification outwardly. But the unification of the hearts are still what? It's still been what? Still divided. And you'll find that their hearts are still what? Cursing each other. Why? Because of their belief system that it what? Opposes what they're all upon. There's no way you can believe and put all these people that have different beliefs and creeds in one room and think that they're going to be united in their hearts. They're all what? Manifest ulfa outwardly. And they'll but say it just for the what? Just to say it. See, we have all these numbers, but in actuality, they have lost their what? They have lost their quality. Due to the fact that the Message of Allah clearly mentioned and said, he says, يُوشِكُ أَن تَتَدَاعَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْأُمَمِ كَمَا تَدَاعَتْ الْأَكَلَةُ عَلَى قَصْعَتِهَا قَالُوا أَوَ مِنْ قِلَّةٍ نَحْنُ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ قال بل أنتم كثير ولكنكم غثاء كغثاء السيل ولا ينزعن الله المهابة من صدور عدوكم منكم ولا يقذفن في قلوبكم الوهن. قالوا ما الوهن يا رسول الله؟ قالوا حب الدنيا وكراهية الموت. طيب. So you'll find that Ahl al-Ilm say in regards that all of the people of this world are going to gather against you to pluck you off, just like they gather around a plate to pluck the food off. What does it do to our small numbers of Messenger of Allah? Tafadhal. He says, no, you will be plenty. However, you will be scum like the scum of the foam that foams up on the water. Why are you like this? Because you unified upon what they call al-ijtima' al-bid'i. Not al-ijtima' al-shar'i. You all brought all these Muslims together based upon different belief systems. And you what? As a result of it, the quality what makes you a true feared. At the time when the enemies feared the Muslims, they feared them based upon of them purifying their creed and their belief system. When it now was tainted, the belief system was tainted, then that's when they became weak. When they became weak was due to their what? Some type of discrepancy had creeped inside of their origin or their fundamentals. So they lost the quality of them being Muslim. The quality is gone because the foundation is what? Weak or gone. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? The quality is gone. So as a result of it, now the kuffar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala snatched the fear that they have for you, and He's cast weakness inside of yourselves. Tayyib. Due to the fact that we find that the one, like we said, no one in this room right now would say that let's all come together. And we come in this masjid, we come to the masjid, for example, right now. If everyone said, right now, if we came to the masjid, remember this. Someone came to the masjid right now and said, let's all pray together. And a person says, listen, brother, we all want to pray together. We all Muslimun. Someone came to the masjid and said, let's all pray together. Let's all pray. And you said to him, Yahi, there's certain people who's upon major impurity. Stop biting your nails. There's certain people who has minor impurity, and there's certain people that are in a state of wudu. Yeah, akhi, I don't get it in all that. I don't get in all that. You cause a division. You cause a fitna. Is that person causing division or fitna, or in actuality he's calling to unification the proper way? He's causing fitna? Right now, if I said, akhi, all of us just pray together. Person say, yeah, and a person who's ignorant is going to say, yeah, we all just need to pray together. Why are we getting all this other extra nonsense that people worry about? Wudu, not making ghusl, why all this other? Yeah, that's division. Leave that off. Let's just all pray together. If I said that to you right now, somebody come to the masjid, yeah, we all want to get up and pray. Let's all do unification. We all get up, we all pray together. And one person out of the crowd who has his mind on straight says to you, yeah, akhi, there's people who's on major impurity, minor impurity, and certain people that will do. And that person says to him in a certain rebuttal, decorating his speech, yeah, akhi, I don't get into all that. We don't get into all that. We just all need to pray together. How would you look at that person? You know that person, what he's called to, is batil. Even though it sounds good openly, but behind it is absolute what? Falsehood. The same thing in regards to wudu. The Muslim that comes in this masjid right now says, listen, all of us are Muslimun, we need to unite. And a person from the Ahl al-Haq will say, Ya akhi, we need to purify aqeedah and unify it upon one. Everybody needs to be, just as everyone needs to be in a state of wudu. There can't be a person who's upon major impurity, minor impurity, and all of us pray together. Everybody has to simultaneously be at one state, which is the state of what? Tahara. What's more important and sacred than that of the salat is the belief system. The belief system is more important than aqeedah and wudu, than salat and wudu, because the aqeedah precedes it. Because there's no way that the salat and wudu will be validated unless you actualize by the shahada. But you actualize the shahada first, which precedes what? The ibadah and wudu. That needs to be purified before ibadah and wudu. And despite of that, none of the Muslims will accept anyone coming in the masjid to say, let's just all pray, whether you be in wudu or not in wudu or not. No one would accept that. And if they did, they would what? They would criticize you. You lost your mind. How are you going to tell us all to just pray without no wudu? Some people don't. Some people have it, some minor, major. That type of call that you're calling to in the open is looking as its unification. But inwardly, it's still what? It's still division. Because you now have purified the people. Tayyib, what's more important than that, as we discussed before, is the aqidah and the belief system. The person in the call that says, listen, everyone says La ilaha illallah, so we all need to come together. We say the exact same thing as in regards to the example of wudu. Unify yourself in the aqidah first and purify yourself from the impurities of the different discrepancies in the beliefs and the fundamentals, then let's unify. If you want to say, just like you say, تطهروا ثم صلوا نقول لهم نفس الشيء تطهروا في عقائدكم ثم تعالى نجتمع نوحد في عقيدتنا ثم بعد ذلك نحقق اجتماعنا. جيد? And that is what? He says we unify in our belief system, purify your worship, or purify yourselves from the state of minor impurity, then pray. That's what you would say to the individual. You would say, Yahi, people have to purify themselves, then pray. The same thing we say to the Muslims who call to this call. We say you purify yourself in the aqidah first, then we come together. Why? So we can actualize al-ijtima' al-shar'i, not al-ijtima' al-bid'i. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Majority of the Muslims these days they want to actualize what? Al-ijtima' what? Al-bid'i, not al-ijtima' al-shar'i. And that's the reason why you'll find that they're in the state that they're in now. Is it clear? Gee. We'll stop here. Any questions about the lesson? تفضل. Abdullah. Labid ibn al-A'sam or Bulus. Bulus, Paul. Bulus. Susun. Bulus. الروافض عبد الله بن السبأ. هشام بن الحكم الرافضي. هشام بن الحكم الرافضي. He was first thing he called to tashbih. كان يدعو إلى التشبيه. Now the Rawafid, their aqeedah of these days is ta'til, is negating the names and attributes of Allah, which is the aqeedah of the Mu'tazila. So the Rawafid believe now all of the aqeedah of the Mu'tazila the Shia have. That's the belief of the Rawafid these days. And I had a debate, not a debate, this is by when I first became Muslim, so I didn't know any better. So I didn't know no better. So keep that in mind. But there was a person, I was in school one day, and his man came up, he's calling the aqeedah, calling the adhan very weird. I'm like, what kind of weird? So he's calling the adhan extremely weird. That was the first thing. Then the second thing, he started talking about the names and the attributes of Allah and how he doesn't have them and how they are denied and we don't believe that he has those attributes that you say he has. I'm like, what kind of Muslim are you? So I found out that he was a white Shia. So now it makes sense now. So I remember, and I was like, whoa, 20 years ago, that's the belief of the Mu'tazila. I'm like, oh, the Shia have all the belief of the Mu'tazila. That's why he was saying what he was saying. So now I understand. Because all the Rawafid, all the Shia have the aqeedah of the Mu'tazila. So first they were Mushabbiha, then in the end they became what? Mu'tazila, who is from the Ahl al-Ta'til. Who are the Mu'attila? They are from the people who are considered Mu'attila, those who negate the names and attributes of Allah. So a person would say, you're wasting your time studying Aqidah Mu'tazila. No. The Aqidah of the Mu'tazila still exists to this day within the belief system of the Shia. The belief system of the Shia. I told you, I ran into a Shi'i before. This was 20 years ago, 25 years ago almost. I ran into him before. No, I'll say about 22 years ago. I ran into him one before, and this was his speech. It was extremely strange. He was talking bad about Abu Hurairah, which is known. They hate Abu Hurairah. He was talking bad about Abu Hurairah, so we don't accept his narrations. I'm like, what kind of Muslim are you? So then he started talking about how the names and the attributes of Allah, we don't believe that Allah is above. I'm like, what? So of course, we don't, alhamdulillah, nowadays we acquire a little bit more knowledge, but back then I'm just like, I was blown away. Like, first the adhan was strange, then he started talking all this nonsense. You don't take from Abu Hurairah. That's what we read all day. We talk about hadith from Abu Hurairah. You talk about something you don't take from Abu Hurairah. So I kept scratching my head. What kind of Muslim are you? That's the reason why you enter the fold of Islam is coming upon a person to learn his aqidah first, learn his minhaj, and they're all together. They're connected. One doesn't separate from the other. First, when you become Muslim, learn the methodology so you can avoid the deviant sects, so you will not become affected by them. Jayyid? So all the Shia become or have the aqidah of the Mu'tazila. All of them, with no exception. Any other question? So you can stop and pray. Any other? There was one individual that they're waiting for.